All right, Soul Siblings. This is a archetype that extends back to Extended, if anybody remembers that format when it was called Soul Sisters. It's a tier 3 archetype in Modern that people have played despite of itself for a long time, and it's been enabled here in Historic through the anthologies, giving us both Soul Warden and Serra Ascendant here. In Theros, we got Daxos, Blessed by Sun, and Heliod Suncrown that fit very elegantly into this archetype. And in the most recent set, M21, we got some copies of Speaker of the Heavens here, which is another pretty powerful payoff for having extra life. Can create a 4/4 angel every turn. This is also a 1/1 life flicker with Vigilance for 1, which is sweet. One of the things that this deck does well is provide some beatdown. So you'll note that we have 17 1-drops here. And what this allows us to do is pair with Legion's Landing. If people remember this card from Ixalan, it says, when you attack with 3 or more creatures, transform Legion's Landing. So a very common play pattern in this deck is you play 3 1-drops in the first 2 turns of the game, and then you flip Legion's Landing on turn 3, and then can play 4 drops like Ajani, Strength of the Pride, or Ranger of Eos on the 3rd turn of the game, which is excellent. The reason why we have a Singleton Giant Killer here is because of another historic anthology card here, Ranger of Eos. Searches our deck for 2 creatures with converted mana cost 1 or less and put them into your hand. So by main decking a Singleton Giant Killer, we're able to use Ranger to find a removal spell. And then we have more copies of Killer in the sideboard for the matchups where that's an effect we really want to see. Yes, generally speaking, you don't keep a 7 with this deck that doesn't have a 1-drop. This deck ideally is looking to go 1-drop into 1-drop, 1-drop, or 1-drop into 2-drop every game. Thanks for the 47 months, Squishy. We'll get your castle ready for next month. It's a long time. Thanks for keeping me around. This is my favorite historic deck, but it's rare wildcard tribal. This deck does have an insane number of rares in it for having almost no rares in the mana base. I believe the Wellspring here and Island, Diva, I believe, is another streamer, Holy Diva, who's been working on a Kiln Fiend deck. Yep. That's true. Most decks in Magic have a lot of rares. Magic's not a particularly budget-friendly game a lot of the time. If they have like a shock here, we're probably in a lot of trouble regardless. This is a matchup where we're definitely going to want our removal spells post-board. We're going to bring in our Baffling Ends and our Conclave Tribunals and such. No, they're playing the Wellspring purely because it's a free roll for their archetype. I assume we're gonna die here with Crash Through. Really? So their hand's really bad. You love to see it, chat.
Everything will be fine if we stand together. I am proud of those who walk beside me.
That's true. Our hand is also not stellar. Wannabe Beetle. Thanks for the biddies. Is that lethal? I think that's lethal, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm 1 short. I'm 1 off of lethal. Because I could have gained life from this to get 1 more point of damage in here. Yeah, if I would have gained 1 more, I'd still be 1 short. See if we die from 11 to the Storehead or not. We could die here. I believe there's a double strike. There's a double strike instant in the latest set, right? They would have killed us there. Pretty fortunate. Their draw was pretty bad. This is a matchup where I think I want to drag my curve down a little bit. Bring in those removal spells like I talked about. Do I trim Serra just assuming that I'm not going to be able to keep my life total high? I feel like that's probably not unreasonable. Trim like a Heliod too. Although Heliod makes my things bigger. And like Heliod giving a big Pridemate lifelink is big game. I don't think this is a cage matchup for just Arcanist. I'm not trimming Speaker because of the high life gain requirement. Well, his life gain requirement is lower than Serra Ascendant's requirement. So if I'm going to trim something that depends on my life total being high, trimming the thing that requires my life total to be even higher makes the most sense. That's a great draw. I think I do this, so this way if I draw a land next turn, I can play Ajani and attack with Heliod. I might also be right to just Conclave Tribunal this, though. Born and Vixed. Hopefully they pump this up to 4. We just get to Giant Killer it. Really would like to draw a land next turn. I think I'm just passing here. Playing these out and getting them dead sounds not great. Yeah, definitely good. I mean, they could just have, like, a dive down here. They're kind of playing the game like they have protection. No, I didn't show them Giant Killer game 1. Hopefully they go like land Wellspring would be great for us. Are we dead? Could be dead. Yep. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to just jam Ajani on 4 there. Game plays out a little bit different if we do. Decided to hold up Giant Slayer and got really punished for it. Oh, I missed a 350 tip from Niv. I'm sorry, Niv. It's a while ago. I'm gonna keep this and never draw a second land and die. It's gonna be great. Nailed it. Hashtag sometimes lucky. Wag, thanks for the half year. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Just prioritize keeping their board clear while I have a bunch of threats. It might even be right to, like, play my Giant Killer out here before I Convoke. So that way I could, be more likely to flip this next turn. They want to eat my speaker, that's fine. I get to flip my first fort over. They cast any instant or sorcery here, I get to chop down the Kiln Fiend. No blocks. If they pass priority here, I'm just going to take damage. And there's a good chance they have dive down here. And by taking the damage and doing this at end of turn, I end up taking 3 less total, which is great. Totally forgot to take the title. Good call. Yeah, I mean, just because your opponent makes good plays doesn't mean they're sniping. I think I'm leaving back my big Pridemate here to block with. Well, I also have first fort available, and my opponent hadn't seen a Giant Killer yet. Does leaving Pridemate back save me from anything? If they go Trample, Double Strike next turn, they're attacking for 14. They give Trample, Double Strike. It'll be 14 exactly. I'm gaining 1 up to 12, and then my other thing, my 3/3 will be going to a 4/4. If I leave the 7/7 back, I don't die to 1 mana spell, trample, double strike. It becomes a 5/5. How is this becoming a 5/5? I have 1 thing with lifelink. I think I'm leaving back the other Pridemate here. They can unsummon the token. Yep. They have Infuriate here also to save their Kiln Fiend. Shock saves it, sure. Are they dead? It's a 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I believe they're dead. Good draw. Close game. Close game. Moving on up the ladder. Do 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 do. You know, Historic's a lot of fun when we don't play against a bunch of Reclamation. I really hope that the amount of Reclamation we played against, like, the first week I came back was some kind of anomaly and not going to be the norm. What do you think of other mono white with Lockstone Marshall? I think that's a different deck. I think it's probably fine too, but I think it's a different deck than this. I think I'm gonna keep this and be a little bit greedy and bottom the 3rd land tier. Hope to do 1, 3, 4. I think neither Teferi Time Raveler nor Wilderness Reclamation create gameplay patterns that are enjoyable to the average Magic the Gathering player. I think there are definitely people that like both of those cards, but I think the people that like those cards are certainly in the minority. Wouldn't mold to 4. Perfect. I think that's also just a different deck, Josh VC. A lot of the time, Magic players, in a desire to be reductionist, like to draw strictly better, strictly worse comparisons between things that are not strictly better or strictly worse. They're just like looking for the easy answers. I'm gonna go to attack with Linden here. If they want to trade, that's fine. If they go Land Questing Beast, I'm in a little bit of trouble, but outside of Land Questing Beast, I like our spot. It's a new stomp animation. No, it's been there for a while. This deck performed so far. Well, we won our first match. Let's get us right towards the beginning here today. Actually, you know what? This attack's probably wrong. Yeah, it's definitely wrong. Because now they get to attack my Ajani, and I have to choose between keeping my Ajani and flipping my Legion's Landing, which is not a good choice that I should have to make. Yeah, this was a mistake. If I leave this back, they can't attack me.
Friendship is the best cure.
Field of the Dead decks haven't really put up consistent finishes, Monster Man. That's why there's none on the website. Hit the 4th lane for Cleave. Yep, looks like we're gonna be dead here. I don't know that we necessarily win this game, even if I don't make that bad attack, but it's maybe a little bit closer. And again, just like kind of highlights why I think the Winota ban was so incredibly idiotic. The fact that the Gruul decks are basically just a different aggro combo deck that's harder to interact with, I think is incredibly frustrating. With Ember Cleave, you literally have to kill every creature they play, whereas with Winota, you just need to kill Winota for them to not combo you. Remember, the Ember Cleave decks, every creature is a combo piece. With the Winota decks, that's not the case. Yeah, and Winota, you can also just kill the non-humans. Also accurate. I think Gruul is much harder to interact with on average than Winota. It's still easier to interact with than Wilderness Reclamation, obviously, but still much harder than Winota a lot of the time. In terms of not getting combo killed. So, Monster Man, there's not really a ton of data to derive results from in Historic. Historic isn't a Magic Online format, and a significant amount of Magic data comes out to Magic Online. Because Magic Arena doesn't have tournaments that publish information regularly. MTG Melee is trying to slowly change that, but for the most part, that's still true. Land? Ding. Would I rather Lurrus or Heliod? I like that Heliod starts pumping up my thing. Getting a bigger lifelink dork is appealing. This is also better in the face of a second removal spell. If I could draw a 4th land next turn, I can play Lurrus and then immediately play Soul Warden. Is there any big mana deck you personally find fun? I like Yarok Field. That's the only Field of the Dead deck up on my website. But that's also more of an interactive deck rather than a linear big mana deck. I personally do not find linear big mana decks particularly enjoyable a lot of the time. Alright, so this game is over. Yeah, that's a good recommendation. Ellie Andrazi is like the big mana king of Magic, so to speak. You like Symmetron deck. If you want to be greedy and ignore people, Ellie's kind of the go-to. I can't zoom the URL. This is Donald Trump's Twitch page, which they were streaming his rallies and stuff on occasion. Twitch banned it. Twitch banned his account. That's fantastic. Love it. Personally, I'm excited for all the pro-capitalism conservatives to acknowledge that Twitch is a private company and that they can and should ban whoever they want to, and that naturally capitalism will adjust in the marketplace and the conservatives will start their own freedom streaming platform, which will naturally grow to rival Amazon and Twitch because that's how free market capitalism works. When a company does something you don't like, a competitor will naturally just appear and it will solve the issue for you. Because that's definitely what they'll do, right? Because they believe in the free markets, chat. I think I just have to pass here. If we draw a land, we maybe have a shot. We get to Linden and get to flip our thing. Feels magic, man. Yeah, it's funny. It's one of the things... Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's not a coincidence. Like, free market capitalism is telling conservatives and bigots that their platforms aren't popular and need to die off. Because there's a reason why all of these money-hungry companies are pandering to the dirty, filthy liberals and progressives, right? Like, progressive policies are slowly winning out. Trump's Twitch was banned. Twitter hasn't banned Trump yet. Hopefully in my lifetime we see them ban Trump. That would be great. It's not even just that people who are in favor of progressive policies don't vote. I don't think that's strictly true, so much as just like a big part of what keeps the GOP powered year in and year out is just like world-class FUD and propaganda. There's also big issues with voter suppression. Alright, I think I'm just taking this hit for one here, even though letting this get bigger is a little bit sad, because I would like to flip my Legion's landing here. Jeskai Feather was great, Wargy. Storm Entity was fine, and actually the card that really surprised me was Opt actually felt really good. Yeah, that is a big part of the issue, Bob. Part of the issue is that many people who are liberal are concentrated in places where people actually live, and we give landmass voting powers in the United States. It's not strictly true that if you don't live in a swing state, you don't matter. A lot of the things that people are currently protesting in the United States, things like police brutality and issues with that system, those things are largely handled and addressed by local politicians and local policies. Your local elections matter. Who your mayor is, who your governor is, really matters. Living through all the COVID stuff that's going on right now, it really, really matters. That was a really close game of Magic, don't you think? Yeah, there's also a lot of good primaries, right? Like right now in Kentucky, for instance, like McGrath versus Booker is a big policy difference within the Democratic Party, right? Like, those details really do matter. I don't really know what this opponent is doing. I feel like Baffling End and Conclave Tribunal are probably fine things to board in kind of in the dark here. I don't know if they're super aggressive or if they're more mid-rangey. Dreadhorde Arcanist leads me to believe they're potentially more aggressive. However, they could pull up in a creature matchup like this. So I'm hesitant to trim. If they're aggressive, I want to trim Ajani. If they're mid-range, I want Ajani in. So I think I'm going to hedge and leave this in. I'm going to trim Linden for now. And then maybe a couple of Serra Ascendants and see how that feels. Try and get a little bit more feel of what their deck is doing. I just needed to trim something, Worky. Something had to go. I think not playing Opt in that deck was a big mistake. Yeah, they could be a cat deck. It's a good observation. Cat oven. Something that's a good note to the person I just timed out in chat is that I expect you to adhere to the same level of quality comments when discussing what my opponent is doing that I expect you to adhere to when you talk about my deck. Opponents playing Jund so their deck's bad is super reductionist and lazy. Don't do that here in my chat. If you want to pick apart the details of what my opponent's deck is doing and talk about why specific things they're trying seem to not work, feel free to do that. But just lazy comments like deck's bad, don't do that in my spaces. My understanding is that Standard's still pretty much a dumpster fire. It's just a dumpster fire that involves 8 mana Ugin now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you doing something?
That makes Lurrus real bad.
They can only punish you if they catch you.
Feel like they probably have a removal spell here. Okay. Sure. That's kinda sorta a removal spell. Should fight as one be in this deck? I think I'd rather just have more threats on average than try to protect the threats that I already have. Shelby's, thanks for the 12 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I also think a lot of our threats are super susceptible to things like bounce spells, and fight as one doesn't really protect against those. The fact that Conclave Tribunal is possibly less than 4 make it better than Face Feathers gain for life. Yes. This card is frequently free in my deck that has like 16, 17 1-drops in it. Alright, so it does feel like they're a little bit more on the aggressive side, which I think means I don't want as many Ajani's here at the top end. Lurrus is also not great against Scavenging Ooze. Maybe I want this one. This allows me to... I guess that's also not good against Scavenging Ooze, huh? Let me just round out all my 1-drops. Okie doke. Pretty good start here. I think if... Okay, with that draw, we're just playing Heliod. Feels like they have a removal spell this turn anyways. I don't think Brassy is a very good Magic card. I think if you think about the situations where Brassy is good, he largely ends up being good only in matchups that you're already... only in games that you're already winning. I think if Brassy managed to protect your things for a full turn cycle to give them to have them survive a sweeper on their turn, it would probably be worthwhile. But the fact that it's a planeswalker that only gives you board presence when you already have board present means it leaves a lot to be desired. And back. Thanks for the 18 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Keeping me around. Might be right to just play this out. Could go either way on that. Yes. Thank you. Dialerino. I don't know that the two-party system definitely isn't great, but I don't know that calling everything that's going on being strictly the fault of the two-party system is necessarily accurate. I think in a lot of ways, the issues with what we currently have going on in the United States are deeply rooted in the fact that one of the parties in our two-party system is literally a propaganda machine that denies what's going on in reality. Like, who could have possibly predicted that the party of people that denies climate change is real and responds to mass shootings with thoughts and prayers would have an unrealistic, not based in reality response to COVID-19? Who could possibly have predicted that? I did not think the leopards would eat my face either. Yep. I do think there's issues with the two-party dichotomy, but I also think things like the Justice Democrats, people like AOC, Booker, Bowman, like, these are people that are working within the two-party system and pushing forward actual good policy changes. He's been really good so far today. I've said this before. I really wish I could predict how good our matches of Magic were going to be and, like, split them up a little bit more. Like, I feel like we either have days where, like, all the Magic decks we play are good, and then days where, like, none of them are good. It's like, we just, like, alternate that a little bit. Like, get one good deck per day and one bad deck per day. It would be nice. I'm doing well, Fire Games. Happy Monday. I believe Beansy is leading on Shillings accrual. They had about 800,000. How did the last survey go? Last survey had a lot of good information in it. The community seems pretty split or apathetic as far as doing more standard content goes. The community overwhelmingly voted to ban Teferi and Wilderness Reclamation from the next Toglandia Open. And actually, the most important thing, we're going to wrap up on Runeterra again today, like we've been wrapping up the last number of days on it. There was a lot of support for Runeterra from the subs, which is great. I've enjoyed that game a lot.
Excellent timing. Don't worry, I got this.
It's a very, very well done card game.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
I think I just play Daxos here and pass. I want to save this for, like, post-sweeper.
I seek the path. My pride grows stronger.
Save your shilling, folks, the hell dude says while spending their shillings.
Trust me, you'll thank me later. This might be a bad idea. Our true strength lies in our friendships.
Maybe this is wrong, and I'm supposed to just wait to play this out. In case they have a ritual asset.
If you show remorse,
No time
So,
for a break.
mechanical depth wasn't actually the thing that I didn't like about Slay the Spire, Bob. I really just don't like playing a card game by myself single player is just kind of boring. In my opinion, it's just not something that really does it for me. And the reason why Griftlands was something that really resonated for me, I think, was in large part due to the fact that it wasn't just a single player game, it also had a story. Need to guarantee take Teferi out of play here, I think. And at this point, I'm going to not commit more creatures out of my hand. We're just going to activate this castle. I think Jeskai Feather would be a fine run back. Wargy was very good today. No, not intending to touch Monsters Rain anytime soon. Like I said, I'm glad people enjoy different types of games, but that's just really not the type of game that I enjoy on average. And even Griftlands, the only reason I was able to make time for Griftlands on stream is like because those were sponsored segments, right? Like my stream time's super valuable. Someone in chat asking for more Runeterra stuff. It's just hard to fit everything in that I want to do. Based on the feedback I've had on the sub survey, I think 2 parts Magic, 1 part Runeterra is probably a good mix of things.
Bow before Nicole Bolas.
Alright, so I'm gonna do this. I'm playing the Giant Killer out here. Oh, I'm dumb. I could have just plussed Ajani, right? How do you plan on following the entry fee? MTG Melee is a great piece of software that handles integrations like entry fees. So you'll just pay money through MTG Melee.
Sense the good in your heart.
Mechanically speaking, Runeterra is one of the best card games I've ever played. And I think like 2 years from now, if they have an incredibly deep card pool and they manage to keep making interesting cards, there's a good chance it's just a better game than Magic. Katana, thanks for the entire year of support. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. As is often the case, Magic is king in large part due to the fact of its deep card pool.
My pride grows stronger.
Yeah, Melee, the reason why it's a $6 entry fee instead of a $5 entry fee is because Melee takes $1, which is fine. Unfortunate that I didn't have enough to guaranteed kill Tamio here. She's gonna get to pick something up now. I just can't take that risk, Innuendo. Like sub metrics of people that do Runeterra and stuff like that isn't like, this is my job, right? So unless there's a big reason for me to do so, there's no reason for me to take an unnecessary risk with changing how my content's structured for no reason. I definitely think you're right that we would pick up more people that enjoy Runeterra stuff if we did more Runeterra, but it's also impossible to know that like the ratio of people that I'll pick up additionally from doing more Runeterra stuff is proportional to the number of people I'll lose from doing less Magic.
Friendship feeds the soul.
Yep. Probably did here. Sky Guy, thanks for 16 months. Welcome back.
The storied past holds our
Yeah, I
future.
think we can just pack it in here at this point. Gideon and extra Ajani are great. Extra cards that are resilient to my opponent's sweepers. What's my opinion on MTGA's economy system? To set an incredibly low bar, Magic Arena's economy is less predatory than Paper, and it's less predatory than Hearthstone, but it's still incredibly predatory and not consumer friendly. Yeah, it's actually, we were talking about Runeterra stuff. That's actually something Runeterra really gets right. In Runeterra, you just, like, get to buy the cards you want directly. You buy in-game currency and you buy wild cards, which is how it should be. I mean, artifacts, secondary markets are also predatory. Opening card packs at secondary markets are predatory. They deleted the Donald. That's great. Twitch banned them. Reddit banned them. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Do you think they're quite generous? Sure. I think if you have Stockholm Syndrome, it's quite easy to think they're quite generous. I also think it's important to acknowledge reality, which is that something can be predatory while the free-to-play is still generous. Like, Magic and Arena are predatory because you can't give them money and get the thing you want. You are required to gamble. Gambling is predatory. It just is. Gambling is fun. I also would like to be on record that, like, I play a bunch of Raid Shadow Legends, which is probably one of the most predatory games in the world. And, like, people like gambling, myself included. But, like, you can like gambling while also being like, yeah, this is a system that's designed to abuse people, right? Put this towards a feather run back. Sounds good, Wargame. It's not even about specifically the price of knife, so much as it's about the details of how the system works. So Arena's not predatory because of the total price tag. Arena is predatory because of the psychological abuse associated with how they require you to gamble to engage with the system. Something can be fairly cheap and still be predatory. Those things are not mutually exclusive. Oh, I should have put lifelink on the big one. Just wasn't thinking. The reason why I didn't put lifelink on the big one is because I just clicking and talking at the same time. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the random collectability aspect of it. Like I said, gambling's fun, and don't let other people, like, shame you into, like, not liking things that you like.
I'll protect you.
Big fan of letting people like things in general. And like here, this is just such a fantastic example of how good Teferi is against these aggressive decks, right? Like, I have to spend my whole turn killing their Planeswalker now.
Share my light.
Well, they blocked my indestructible Soul Warden for some reason. Must have missed what I did with the Gideon.
I know my responsibility. Let's try this. Your light will clean.
It's actually a good draw. Let's just flip this over and start applying more pressure without committing to the board. The big thing that's great about our current board state is that we're able to apply more pressure to the board each turn without committing more resources into the board. So like I'm going to get to activate this every turn, I'm going to get to activate this, and continue growing my board presence to demand a sweeper without playing more cards out of hand. Devil, thanks for the quarter of the year, I appreciate that. Welcome back. I like the cut of your jib. What's going on? Speaking of jibs. How are you doing, son? I like you. Well, I should put a card down? You think so? You think so? Yeah. That'd be good. I'm gonna put this card down. We're gonna put this card down because Jake said so. Yeah. Pretty smart. Give the Angel lifelink here.
I believe in you, friend.
And again, being able to diversify our threats here in the face of a potential sweeper is great. Even if they sweep the board, we keep Heliod, we keep Gideon. Yeah, Sean's good people. I'll be interested to see if he dips into Historic eventually. The fact that the upcoming Invitational is Historic makes me think maybe we'll see him dip in at some point. They killed a bunch of our cards. They put them extinct. Should we play some more cards out? I agree. That's a great idea. We're gonna get him. We won, Jake. We got him.
Calm down,
I think I'm happy with how I boarded. Oh, you want to sit? Okay. Here, how about you take the blue chair? I'll put my desk down, you can take the blue chair. Here, come over here, I'll pull. You're a good helper, dude. Yeah, you can share the water. That's cool. Yeah, you're on the camera too. Pretty cool. Those of you that are new to the channel, this is Jake. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. How old are you, Jake? You're the best brother ever?
Short time my other brother. Well, what time my brother gave me
Sometimes your brother makes you angry. That's okay.
Yeah. I got pranked on my brother.
Bill Nye the Zombie Guy, thanks for 11 months.
Yeah, that's good. That's impressive. So, hope what I got down. I don't know. Maybe bad idea.
It's now a Jake stream. They want it to be a Jake stream. Think that's a good idea? I think Jake's pretty cool. Now, the awkward part about this hand in this matchup, I don't think we could mulligan, but our hand is not going to be well suited against their sweepers. We don't have any of our planeswalkers or Heliods that let us play through those.
I've got time.
This man is very mean. He bounced our creatures. I agree. We need a lot of creatures.
That's more like it.
Ugh. We're gonna bounce our guy again. That's fine.
Stand by and watch.
Can run him down.
Oh, I've done the hero thing.
I think I'm supposed to play out Soul Warden here as opposed to a second 2-drop because they showed us Extinction Event last game, so I don't want to play out a bunch of 2s and get them all Extinction Evented here. You can have some water, dude. No, I'm good. Missed a counter on Ajani. No, it's the same regardless, right? My voice, it has returned. Zazzy Zazzy, thanks for the 1.5 years. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Oh, timely. Oh, and now I missed a counter, right? This time I should have done this first. If I do this first and then this ends up with 4 counters instead of 3. I just can't beat a sweeper. And this is why Timely is just so good. Like, Timely makes us extend so we can have a reasonable amount of pressure, and then we just get demolished by a sweeper. Alright, they didn't trade with our Soul Warden, so that bodes well for the home team. That means they're pretty unlikely to have a sweeper here.
I won't hide from the world any longer. You know what? I'm not done.
Alright. I mean, all things considered, that's one of the better lands of the deck, right? The aggro deck recommendations for Runeterra. The elusive aggro deck is considered one of the better decks in that game right now, Vita. I don't have a specific list offhand, though. I recommend checking out both Swim and Mogwai. I've done some content on those archetypes recently. So Teferi goes to 1 here, but my opponent still has, like, 4 cards in hand. And they probably have 4+ sweeper in their deck between Extinction Events and Shatter that we saw last game.
Shadow what? Shadow.
Shatter makes all of our creatures go away.
That's shadow.
No, I hope not. I hope that's not a Shatter. Don't wish that on us, Jacob. No, 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 no. No Shatter.
If nothing else, I will protect the moment.
Isn't fight a possible solution to beating a sweeper? Kind of. So, I have a bunch of cards in my deck that are good against sweepers. Like Planeswalkers, for example, and Heliod. Just because you play cards in your deck that enable you to beat sweepers doesn't mean you're always going to draw them. It's basically the TLDR. Also, with 3 mana Teferi being a card that's omnipresent in the format, most of the decks that play sweepers aren't going to let you respond with a fight as one when it happens. Alright, so this is going to phase us out of time. So we could have lethal here, except this gets to phase one of our creatures out on our turn, which sucks. So I'm going to send these at their face. And I'm going to send these other dorks at their planeswalkers. So this just doesn't exist until the start of my next turn, basically. What do you think of Brahms Ajani? So yeah, it's fine. Felt like a pretty... Oh, that was more of a mid-range deck than an aggro deck, though. So, this Heartless Act here unfortunately means that their Hero of Dominaria is going to survive, but it is what it is. I think I do Castle here in response to get 2 more damage on this. Now, one of the nice things about the fact that they phased out my 1919 here is that if they find a sweeper next turn, my 1919 doesn't die. That's basically how I feel when they have Jeffrey out.
Keep up the pace.
Yeah, I started playing Magic in 2001. For people that aren't familiar with my Magic background, I traveled to play on the independent tournament series run by Star City Games for many years. I played in 2 of their first 4 Players' Championship tournaments. I think I have I believe I'm still in the top 10 or top 20 or so for players that have the most open top 8s on their series. My conversion rate was very reasonable. It was somewhere in the 20-25% range, which is, again, top 8ing 20 to 25% of the Magic tournaments you play in is considered incredibly good. Okay, so we're going to hope they have nothing here, and in case they do have something, we'll kill Hero of Dominaria. Just Esper things. The old 20 volume.
Let me know if you're up for
The one, Jake. We did it! We're the winner! Why don't we play Legion's Landing first? Probably should have.
You play card games, Freddy.
So, people have been asking about feedback from the sub survey that I sent out last night. If you're a sub and you haven't filled this out yet, it's linked in the subscriber Discord server. It should also be in your email, but I know not everybody gets Twitch emails. Historic, still the most popular content on the channel. Runeterra popped up a little bit higher than I was expecting, which makes me happy. Standard, I was actually kind of surprised Standard was this high. This measure was also a little bit higher than I was expecting. 31% of people want to poke back into Standard before rotation in the fall. So maybe that's something we'll do at some point. And then this is the poll I think a lot of people cared about. Teferi and Wilderness Reclamation getting banned has almost a 75% win rate in this poll. So they are definitely gone from the next Sorglandi Open. What's up, dude? Maybe you go? Okay, I love you. Have fun. Thanks for visiting. Look at that, he even closed the door. Three timer now or still a 2? I don't know what that means, Nemesis. Please help me English. We did have a third Nemesis. If you haven't been around, Haley is 2 weeks old as of yesterday. Little bit of Magic the Gathering going on your screens here. Opponent very, very dead. Probably Gruul. I'm going to board like their Gruul and cut my Planeswalkers and bring in my removal spells. I sense conceded standard isn't coming back. I think we're gonna do standard when rotation happens. I would like to play with mutate cards. The mutate mechanic's really sweet, and mutate's definitely not powerful enough for historic. I feel like this is a mulligan. Oh, it could go either way. It's kind of slow. Like, I don't really want to play this out on one, I don't think. How maybe I do. Silliest Putty, thanks for the 2/3 of a year. Welcome back. Isn't 4 mana for 2 Ajani's Pridemates good enough against Skrull? If that was what the card did against Skrull, yeah, that would be good enough. But that's not what that card does against Skrull. The card's very hard to keep alive against Skrull, and frequently it's just going to do nothing and it's going to die. It's going to make like one thing and then eat some damage. Hey, Dr. Golvey. Thank you for the 12 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Get you a sword to go with that shield, huh? I mean, is Thoughtseize gonna be that rancid? Like, I agree with you that, like, to a degree, I don't love Thoughtseize as a card. Jake left, I can fix my camera. But, like, at the same time, like, what decks that already exist in Historic are really gonna leverage Thoughtseize? Gilbass, thanks for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. I agree. Brewing is one of the best things about Magic. That tends to be what Magic's deep card pool is most fun about. But when you just get smashed all the time, it's not fun. It just really isn't. Is Thoughtseize coming to Historic? Pioneer, for people that haven't been keeping up, Pioneer is coming to Magic Arena. Everything that is currently Pioneer legal will eventually be Historic legal, because Historic contains everything that's on Magic Arena. Thanks, Giovas. Hopefully you'll be able to play on the 18th. Yeah, I also am not super familiar with Pioneer currently. I mostly stopped following that format because it got real bad real fast. Hopefully, Historic doesn't follow suit. Last I checked, there was a Pioneer tournament over the weekend that I believe was just a bunch of Inverter and Heliod combo. It's like super reductionist and intentionally obtuse to refer to discard spells as counterspells. They're fundamentally very different. The Pioneer Challenge didn't fire. Yikes. Yeah, and even once all of Pioneer is on Arena, between Jumpstart and the Historic anthologies, Historic will still be different than Pioneer. Eventually, Arena will just have multiple non-rotating formats on it, which is a good thing. Again, one of the things Magic does best compared to all the other card games out there is providing a deep wealth of different formats to play. It's Magic's greatest strength, in my opinion, is the range of ways you can play the game. Really hoping to draw some lands here. At least it's not another 3 or 4 drop. If they had cleave, I feel like they might have cleaved us last turn. We did oops our way into Mythic while playing Just Skyfeather this morning. Although this deck's been winning a lot of matches too. I think we came in at Mythic 92%. We're up to 97 now. Oh, you know what? We're so close. They're 1298. The season ends like tomorrow, right? Is high percent good or bad? High percent means you're close to the numbers. I'm gonna finish this game out, but I might concede this match, I think. Our opponent is probably trying to get into the top 1200. And as someone who has tried to do that before, the last days are like super stressful and frustrating. And I have no desire to be top 1200. Isn't it 1400 now? I thought it's 1200. I don't know. I don't follow Wizards organized play stuff. Watch these be 2 lands. Man, if that isn't peak Magic the Gathering, I don't know what is, right? Just like opponent draws 2 cards off our deck. Both of them are lands. Draw a 4-drop. Oh, Magic's great. Ah, I'm all alone. Woo. Alright, is this a concession plains? This feels like a concession plains. I just can't beat this card. Yeah, viewer counts for Magic have been way down, so I've been toggling sub mode off until it annoys me. And people, the children have been behaving. It's nice. So again, I'm conceding that match because my opponent looks like they're going to be in contention for top 1200. No, I am definitely not in contention for top 1200. Even if I was, I could maybe streak up into top 1200, but I honestly don't want to be. I'm not going to play in the tournament even if I qualify. So, God bless. Hope they get there. This concession is good for someone, but bad for someone else. So here's the thing you need to understand. If I donate $5 to a charity, it's not like I'm taking $5 away from a different charity. There is only a finite amount of kindness in the world, and doing a kindness for one person isn't like doing a rude thing to someone else. It's just not how it works. I think I'm just playing Giant Killer out here. Because if I hit a land, I'm going to want to play all these out anyways. Which aggro decks are most playable and historic? You can check out my website for lots of great different aggressive decks in historic. There's a click historic decks, use the search feature to search for aggro. I think Grawl is probably the best aggro deck, the one this opponent is playing. But there's a range of different things that are competitive. They don't compete. They do, though. Like, saying that charities aren't competing for the same $5 shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the finite allotment of resources that exists in the world today. Charities are very much all competing for your money, much like people are competing for the top 1,200 spots. Yeah, like if someone uses their free prime here, they're not giving it to someone else. People always argue this point, and it's such a good reminder that people just don't understand basic economics and the finite allotment of resources that exists in the world. T Hunter, thanks for the sub gifty, I appreciate it. Your girlfriend works in the nonprofit fundraising, and I'm acutely aware of how hard they work to solicit your money. Yeah, a lot of the money that nonprofits take in, they re-spend convincing other people to give them more money. I think I'm taking Soul Warden Speaker here. How do you feel about Scavengers? I think it's a good addition. I kind of feel like Scavenging Ooze means maybe I should re-examine Lurrus in this deck. Lurrus has been a little awkward a couple of times now because of skews. Maybe this is something that I shouldn't be including now. You know what? Maybe I should triple block the ooze here. No, because they can eat things anyways. I guess encouraging them to Bone Crusher there means they're slightly less likely to have it for this, which is nice. Like, maybe they don't have another removal spell here, and then I can start pumping out 4/4s. How's Speaker been? Passable? I feel like passable is an accurate descriptor. So I block here, and then I take 8. Speaker looking pretty good here. I recommend main deck Ooze and Girl. I don't think so. I went through and updated all the decks on my website last night with M21 stuff, and I didn't put Scavenging Ooze in Girl. I think you'd rather just beat people down. Like, obviously their Ooze is being fine here because I had Lurrus, but I think in general you just want to be more aggressive than this card lets you be. I guess it's pretty good with Ember Cleave in these longer games. You know? It's probably worth testing if you're someone that wants to explore that archetype. This attack feels super desperate. I think Scavenging Ooze is better than Zertok Goblin. I don't think that's a strictly better, strictly worse comparison. Especially when you have Pelt Collector. Oh, actually, you know what? I want to pump up Speaker of the Heavens here. Oh, I messed this turn up a lot. Okay, so what I should have done here is I should have played Heliod, made a token, made this a 5/5, attacked for 5 with Vigilance, and then made an Angel post-combat. So that turn was actually incredibly bad on my part. Didn't matter, we still dumpstered them. But that was bad. I think I can count... I think we've been playing Historic for 3.5 hours now almost, and we've played against Uro once or twice maybe? There's not a lot of Uro in this format so far. Feels like. I'm gonna board in my removal. Trim my top end. Yeah, Speaker of the Heavens looked great there. For sure. Seems like a very reasonable upgrade to this archetype. Yeah, I mean, we're playing a synergy deck. Like, our deck is only as good as its ability for its cards to be synergistic. Activate after declaring attacker. Well, you can only activate this card at sorcery speed, so... Yorian Dreadhorde. Sounds very clunk. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a Soul Warden and a Giant Killer here. Ranger. I think this mono white deck is easily the deck that leverages the most historic anthology cards in this format. There's so many fantastic anthology cards in it. It's bound to happen eventually, Tantrums. Thank you and welcome back. Alright, so this attack is cleave, right? So we're gonna say no blocks. Thanks for the 2.5 years, Soulstar. Welcome back. I appreciate it. In particular cards from Jumpstart you think will improve his start? Really offhand? Ooh, that's a good draw. Do I want to just race here? I think the answer is yes. And I can make a token with this. And then do this. Drana for vampires is great. I'm not sure that Drana is actually very good. This is very good. Yep. This is actually gonna be our last match here with the mono white deck, and then we're gonna roll it into some Rune Terror to wrap things up. Pretty punishing that we used this and then they had this. Yeah, I believe if you look at the Jeskai Tempo deck, it has Lurrus listed as the companion. It's in the companion slot. This card is far superior to Faith Fetters. I don't think it's particularly close. This deck doesn't want Isuaru. Perhaps a different mono-white aggressive deck would like that card, though. So I have 8 total mana, so I can Giant Killer and activate Castle here, so that's fine. Just pass. So, dead to cleave, but never not dead to cleave. I think we're dead. This Frostodon just killed us. Yeah. I don't have any other answers to bring into Frostodon, so just gotta run it back. The fact that they have that means we probably want to prioritize how I use my Conclave Tribunals, my Baffling Ends a little bit differently this game. Think about if that's a card that we can play around in the different situations that we were in. Might be correct to mulligan this hand without a 1-drop. This is the Daubree's ambush. Coil, sure. Is that all? Nothing else? Alright. I mean, if we find like a Soul Warden next turn and their last couple of cards aren't amazing, we could be okay. I think Guide Mother's too cute. Is your last card a removal spell? Or Ember Cleave? Like, why even let me block? Why even let me block? Alright, if we find a double white card here, Heliod turns online, but we're probably at a low enough life total that doesn't matter. Yeah, our hand was kind of mediocre and their hand was very good, so... Great, we're gonna find out. We are at a virtual 5. We are dead on board if they attack with everything. Let's see if they figure it out. They found the line, chat. We're just like literally 1 point of life short after that crazy start. Heliod cannot lifelink himself. Yeah, that's kind of a tilt. If we had been 1 point of life higher, we would have. I think we would have taken that game over. Linden plus Heliod close things out real quick and get us a lot of life, especially with the castle at our mana base. It was a close set overall. Rampaging for Ascendant almost had the second game, and Rampaging for Ascendant came down after we spent our removal spell and took it over. I don't know, I feel like I'm happy with this 75. I think there's some consideration to cutting Lurrus if you see a lot of graveyard hate running around, but I'm also like not convinced that that's necessarily the norm. And this is a card that's like also okay. It's just like a 3/2 lifelinker for 3 in this deck too. So in the situations where they do hose your graveyard, it's still pretty okay. And being indifferent towards Magic lately, would you advise getting into Rune Terra? Yeah, I think Rune Terra is great. In fact, we're going to go ahead and flip over to Rune Terra for the remainder of the stream. If you're someone that's just here for Magic, I'll be back tomorrow morning again with some more historic decks. Thanks everybody for hanging out today, but don't go anywhere if you want to check out another excellent card.